All right. Well, welcome back to Wellness in Woodford with your host, this is Cassie Prather with the Woodford County Health Department. And along with me is Corey Cooley with the What's Up Woodford Network.
Yes. I wonder which one of these buttons are applause here. I think it's this one. There it is. They're clapping. You can't hear it, but they can. So I'm glad to be here, as always, Miss Cassie. I love this show. I'm excited to talk about what we're talking about today.
Yes. It's kind of the hot topic.
Yes, it is.
Everybody
we were
has,
just talking about it, actually, when we walked in here. Yeah.
Yes. And I think those personal stories always are good to share just because we're human. I work at the health department, but that doesn't mean that I'm immune to getting sick or any
You are
of
human
those
as well.
things. Yes.
And you have kids. You
Absolutely.
go through the same stuff everybody else does.
Yes. And, what we typically see because we're going to be talking about respiratory viruses in general today. And with that, we typically think of flu, and now we've added COVID to the mix, RSV. They typically call the big three. If you go to the doctor's office, they'll test you for the big three, which is flu, COVID, and strep. Because we don't see RSV and pertussis as much, but they are, respiratory viruses that affect us.
Is RSV more, is it, I feel like kids, babies?
Definitely younger. The younger kids are more susceptible to having the symptoms greater affect their lungs.
Right.
And so the breathing, especially if you get
just
a
notice
young
it more
child.
in a young child. Okay.
Yes.
Because I just feel like that, for some reason, rang a bell in my head.
Yes. You hear of that with, newborns having to go back into the hospital not long after birth. They always say don't kiss the babies.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
tough.
one of the reasons why. Yes. I always say if you're going to kiss one, kiss their toes.
Yes. Well, I have to tell myself, okay, don't be weird. It's not your kid. Do not bite the toes.
Right.
Do not talk about taking a bite out of the leg. That is not appropriate.
They're just so squishy.
I know. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, we have newborns all the way up through, adults in our clinic.
Right.
And that's what's different about our clinic is people are genuinely or typically well. They don't come here for sick visits. They come here to stay well.
Sure, yeah.
They come here for well child visits. They come here for vaccines. And so we are trying to keep people out of the hospital and from getting, terribly sick. I know this year, the CDC, one of their slogans for the flu getting the flu shot was, you go from wild to mild, which is true.
I like a good rhyme. I like a good alliteration, man.
Yes. So that's what we're trying to do is take these respiratory viruses from wild, which, the symptoms can really be horrible and land you in the hospital. We did have a flu death here several years ago in a child. Yes, which, never ever want to have to experience that. But that's why we do what we do, and we really try to make vaccines. Sorry.
Good. You're good.
Vaccines as accessible as possible.
Yeah.
So we don't really we do take insurance for flu, but for COVID, RSV, those types of things, we do not take insurance. And so those vaccines are actually provided for the Vaccine for Children federal program.
Okay.
So on behalf of the federal government, the state receives this shipment, and then we are allocated
a certain amount. Got it.
Yeah. So
cool.
With RSV, the flu, so many of those things, they have some of the similar symptoms.
Yeah.
It's very hard to, know, I don't feel well. I have a cough. I'm congested. What do I have? And we were just talking about before, we've got kids that are the same age and they go to the same school.
Yeah.
They've been in the same class at one point.
Absolutely.
So
and they all have recess and stuff. I mean,
Yes.
it's all over the place. Yeah, it's like I don't even it's like the crud. That's
The
what that's what I'm
crud.
gonna
The
call it.
crud.
Like it could be anything. All the symptoms are so similar, like you said. So yeah, it's yeah,
Yes, and it doesn't stop at our front door. It comes right in.
absolutely.
I was actually messaging with one of my friends that's a provider, and like me, she was dealing with. She was calling it the plague, but obviously not the plague. But she was like, "I've
Whoa.
gotten," and I'm
Yes.
like, "Yeah, me too." The kids brought me a
Crud's a
gift.
little plague, kind of a little scary.
Plague's kind of over the
Yeah,
top, but yes, it's what it
that's
feels
like 11.
like. Yes,
Let's bring it
that's
down
an
to
11. Yeah, we're just gonna call it the crud.
yeah,
The
a little bit.
crud. But it is I know as a parent, it's frustrating when you take your sick child to the doctor and they have, all these symptoms. You can tell that they just do not feel well. They have a fever.
Yeah, and you could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they test them and nothing's wrong. Well, then that means they have a virus, and it may not be anything that's detectable by, the equipment we have today. That may change, but viruses mutate quickly. And a lot of times those take the longest to get over. And a lot of times you spike the highest fever with those. The reason why your body temperature rises is when that virus, bacteria enters your body tries to create a condition in which the virus or bacteria can't survive.
Right.
So then you get the temp, rising. I always let my kids have a little, it's good to have a fever.
I was going to actually ask you about that because I saw something funny that they said your body's like, hey, I'm going to get these out for you. I'm going to raise the temperature. And then you go and take things to lower the temperature. And your body's like, what the heck?
Yes.
What are you doing here? So, okay, please explain. Yeah, go into that because that's something that's just interesting to me.
It is. And before I, worked in public health, of course, I didn't know. And I'm thankfully, that's part of, things that we do discuss in public health classes is, we yes, the vaccines are great. Herd immunity is great, all those things. But also, you do build up an immune system response when you're infected with these viruses, even if they, they aren't the typical ones. When they enter your body, you want your body to be able to mount a response that will kill that bacteria virus quickly. And a high fever will do that. Now, you don't want, when I say a fever, I'm talking about like 99, 101.
Yes,
If it's down in that lower range, probably okay.
Right.
You don't want it to get too high.
Yes.
Your child could have a febrile seizure.
Yeah.
So there are different things
Can
that
it like kill brain cells? Like, can it like cook you literally? That's what's the word? That's a little harsh. But when I was in the military, I think I got a fever of like 105, 106 or something. It could have even been higher. And I remember the nurses saying something like, if it had been any higher, you would have had like brain damage.
Well, yeah,
but they were able to get it down. Obviously, I'm here, and I hope I don't. I mean, I have to ask my wife about that. But
I think you're good.
yeah,
you're good.
But it was scary. So you're saying
Yes.
the range around the 100 range is kind of a healthy fever.
Yeah, I mean, that is not something you wouldn't want to necessarily quickly give, ibuprofen or acetaminophen, which are the two main fever reducers that you can buy over the counter.
And they work great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can alternate them. So, and then, there are other, popsicles, things like that.
Yes.
You can put them in a bath.
Good old cold wash rag, man.
Right. Yes.
I remember doing that.
Still do that.
Oh yeah. Good old cold wash rag behind the neck and on the head, and it's great.
It still works.
It does
We
work,
did that
man.
last week. Yeah.
Man, good old fashioned stuff. I feel like that's
Yes.
brings
Well,
back memories.
Another thing that can happen when you have a high fever is you will get nauseous and vomit.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's your body's way of getting getting rid of the viruses that are in your stomach
It just wants to purge. It just
Yes.
like get out of here. So it's doing everything it can.
Absolutely. And this is the same way with norovirus. I know we're not talking stomach bug, but the stomach bug, stomach flu, that's how we usually refer to that is with those terms, but it's actually norovirus. it too, like many other respiratory viruses, has so many different variants.
Oh my gosh.
It's so you cannot. The only way you can kill it is with Clorox.
Oh wow.
And so, yeah, if you don't, that's the one I always hate the worst.
Wipe. I remember my mom was just always wiping down Lysol
Yes.
all the time, sitting out, ready to go.
Yes. So that one is always one that you don't want to see come in your home. But a lot of people want to go ahead and start with those antidiarrheals or anti-nausea meds. And it's hard not to do that. But your body is
Doing it
getting
on
rid
purpose.
of, yeah. And so it's doing
Very
what it
interesting.
really, really needs to do. Again, we're trying to come at this from multiple angles. We want to prevent, but we also want to protect.
Right.
And we know that even though there are protections out there, we're still going to get sick.
Yeah.
And we just want to have, the information at the ready for people to make the best decision for their family.
Absolutely.
And right after Thanksgiving is when we see a peak in respiratory viruses. And then right after the Christmas holiday.
And you have the opportunity to be able to look at this years back, right?
We do.
So this is something that you guys plan for,
Yes.
organize for, and
do.
expect.
We do. We can look at trending data. And now, it's one of the good things that came out of COVID. Now, the Kentucky Department for Public Health keeps a respiratory disease data dashboard so that you can, not in real time, but in better time sequences than before, see what influenza-like illnesses are projecting in Kentucky.
So this is something that it was as the result of COVID, like an initiative that they started with this. Wow.
Typically, what you would see every Friday is a flu report would come out, and it would have every county, how many cases,
Okay.
and then it was very general to flu, and then you would have a level.
Okay.
Is it mild, moderate,
Right.
severe?
Of the amount that's
Yes.
going on. Okay.
So what we know now is, even by county levels or regional levels, like we're considered the bluegrass region. Sometimes people have better access to care. More people are going to the doctor.
Okay.
So you may see a lot more people reporting influenza-like
Yeah.
illness, but it doesn't. Data is always subjective.
Sure,
and
sure,
so
sure.
I always like looking at this with an open lens.
Okay. It gives you a good direction to go. Good idea.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you see a peak, is it going to continue? Just like with COVID, as sure as the rates go up, they're going to come down.
Right.
And with this they call it the Kentucky Respiratory Disease Dashboard. And again, there are so many different ways that you can look at the data and process it on the website. But I can look back from the year 2020 and see each season and how we are faring.
Wow.
With influenza, we are actually, this is the weekly report of number of cases, and we're in week 51. This reports back to 49. And right now, we actually are extremely low for flu. So hopefully that's a good sign that it's going to be a mild flu season. This year, the flu vaccine was trivalent, so it protected against 3 different types. Last year and the years in the past, from the time that I can remember, they've been quadrivalent, protecting against 4 different types.
Okay.
And so, I don't know if a lot of people that did report getting vaccinated for the flu reported not even having a sore arm. That was the case for me and my family. Typically, that's something that with any vaccine
anything.
you get.
Golly, anything. I mean, geez, anytime. It's a needle injury. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's interesting. Okay.
So it was just a strange vaccine, weird vaccine phenomenon with this one, but definitely a good thing.
Cool.
But as you can see,
Yeah, that helps tremendously. Okay, yeah. So she's
This is
showing me
us in the
is
purple.
it now? Is this something people can? Or is it just something you have access
No,
to?
anyone.
So you're looking at what? So
This
the
is
website again?
this is the Kentucky Respiratory Disease Dashboard.
Okay. Oh, got it.
Kentucky Public Health.
Okay.
And you can see all the
Yeah.
years. It's color coded. It's very easy to make
Very
out.
cool.
How we're faring. And again, we're not completely flatlined, but
No, but we are down there. That's
we
cool.
are down there. I think right now we're just seeing a lot of these viruses that are unnamed.
Where's the crud on this? I don't see the crud.
Exactly. We need a line for the crud.
Yeah, but that's really cool to see. I mean, that's just interesting data there. Just if you want to, go a little extra mile if you're wondering and check it out. It's pretty cool.
I think the good thing, like I said, with COVID, you could always tell, because people were reporting so quickly. But you can go back, look at COVID-19. So this is us. We're a black line on this.
Yeah.
You can see in other years where we were. Of course, when
Still not
COVID was
even-
at its highest, 2022.
But we're that dark red line or the blue line?
We're right here, very bottom.
That's pretty good. That's pretty,
Pretty good,
Yeah,
right?
and I remember that too. Being very proud and very happy. And that's a testament to you all. I mean, it's just everybody really came together, and that was a wild time. So,
It was.
but it sounds like some good things came of it.
Definitely.
If you, I mean, obviously terrible. A lot of people, lost loved ones, but it's nice to be able to take that and maybe help the next family.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
We
and
definitely
that's
learned a lot.
hard to do. So.
Yes, thank you,
Claps.
thank you.
Oh, I have the hand here. Here we go. There we go.
Claps. I
The
love
applause.
The clap. That's so great. Can't wait to hear that part.
I know.
Great. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Very neat. Well, I that was just something that was top of mind because
Yes. Well, it's yeah. Like
kind
I
of
said,
everywhere.
we were just talking about it. I mean, she well, little backstory. I love my daughter, but she's a little dramatic. All right, and which she gets it honestly. We don't always know when she's actually sick or not sick. And so she was telling us she had maybe a little cough here and there. Said she felt bad. Obviously, we're like, you get to school. Well, maybe a week later, the cough did turn a little mucusy, right? You can
Yes.
hear it. But I never saw a fever. I never saw any of that stuff. She didn't complain about being achy or anything like that. So, I'm thinking, okay, should I have taken a different route? Probably. But like I said, I had a little bit of backstory there because I told you, a frequent flyer.
Well, we have some of those too.
She really tries to get out of it there. But so long story short, realized okay, that sounds a little cruddy.
Yes.
So we went to the doctor, and she prescribed her some antibiotics and cough medicine and some not Mucinex, but it was something like that.
Something like that to
And
clear.
between all that, a couple days, great, was perfect.
Back to-
back to normal.
But what you said there, like you knew when to take her to the doctor. You
Right.
knew when what she was experiencing was out of the norm. And that's really very important in the world of, influenza like illnesses, respiratory
Okay.
viruses. What is normal for you?
Ah,
Is this outside of like a tickle in your throat from allergies? No.
Right.
Maybe you are
'cause that's hard too. I mean, that's hard to.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't even know if
Right.
it's allergies or not
If your throat
until it gets that way.
exactly.
Okay.
I had and I was not a good example of this, but I dealt with a sore throat for about 4 weeks. And what happened to me is everything developed into a sinus infection. I was getting over the little bumps in the viruses,
Okay.
but my sinus system, my nasal, and all that stuff kind of had just really had too much to take.
Yeah.
And so I knew that when, what I was experiencing changed.
Mm-hmm.
I was no longer able to move the mucus, which is, I know that's, it's not a fun word, but, you knew that when Avery was coughing and it sounded
Correct.
different.
Yes.
Knowing those things about your body, your throat is hurting worse than it normally would.
Mm-hmm.
You're coughing, and you feel like it's not a productive cough. You're not moving that fluid around.
Yes. Yeah. Like it's not coming, nothing's coming up. You feel like it's
Exactly.
deep. Okay.
And then sometimes I've heard too, like my uncle, he had a bronchitis so badly that he pulled a muscle in his back coughing.
Oh my gosh.
So, it's time to go see someone and get
Goodness, yes.
something to move that fluid, because when it gets set up, it's thick.
Right.
Yeah.
And it sounded bad. Like, some people will probably maybe say, well, it's just a cough. Like, he doesn't have to miss school. But it just sounded like I'm not going to bring now that I know, and I'm like, this sounds bad. I'm not going to put my kid in a classroom with other kids and a teacher with her sounding like,
Right.
I don't know. That's just me, though. I mean, I didn't want to do that.
But like I said earlier, I had to keep our boys home last week, and I didn't want to be that health department lady that sent her kids to school sick.
Like, what the heck?
So I feel like there's a little pressure.
Oh, sure. Goodness, I can't.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm like, well, but
Like,
no.
why is Cassie's kids missed 20 days of school?
Yes, because she doesn't want to be called out.
Yeah.
No.
But you've made a great point of like, your kid, yourself.
Yes.
And I mean, you can't, you'll be truant. You can't, even with doctor's notes, I feel like it gets kind of like, okay, well, your kid's been out 18 times. Yeah,
Right.
You've had notes. What's going on? What's going on there? And some kids obviously have a weak immune system, but I'm sure that would be something that they already are aware of.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's good. I bet you that really puts some people at ease, hearing that.
Yeah. Just knowing yourself and knowing
Right.
what's normal for you or what is not
I like
normal.
that. I like that a lot.
And then we have definitely taken advantage of, if our kids do get sick in the middle of the day, now you have the option to have your kids seen.
That's right. Yeah.
So helpful when you
So go into that a little bit, because what can they do? What can't they do at the school?
So if it's something that, from my understanding, a mid-level provider could treat.
Okay.
So we're talking physician's assistant, nurse practitioners, who see these kids day in and day out.
Right, and they can pinpoint the frequent flyers just as well as we can.
So we not only have the nurse
Right.
there that's seeing the kids all the time, but then they can set up a virtual or
Oh, right, yeah, we've done
type
that a
of
couple times, which is fantastic.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You've got then they can determine, okay, is they can test your kid for certain things, strep,
Right.
flu, and then they can prescribe what they need to prescribe, or maybe there's nothing. Maybe they need a peppermint, which is what I've been chewing on.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes it's just as simple as that.
But there's
it's
a
nice.
line though, right? Like you have to at one point sign something or okay something for them to, because that's something that now you're bringing this up makes me think like I remember signing something, but I need to go and refamiliarize myself exactly what I either signed or what they can't. Because heck yeah. If she feels bad at school, I would love for them to be able to
Absolutely.
throw her some Tylenol or something like that and just keep her there. But
Yes.
if it's in that realm of being able to keep her there, but
Absolutely. And they're going to make, if they know
Right,
that your
sure,
child
right.
is super high fever or vomiting or something like that, they're going to need to go home immediately.
Right.
But if you're kind of on the fence, like, okay, this could or could not be anything, but let's have an expert
Right.
check that out. And then having that level of care, that level of knowledge,
right.
and it being so easy and it's affordable, because I think they may charge your insurance if you don't have insurance. I don't even think you get charged for it.
That does sound familiar. Like we had to do something with that. I feel terrible, but like I feel like I get things all the time on Dojo and things I need to sign. But I'd like to go back and revisit that, because I know that there's got to be some line where they peppermint line, like
Yes.
peppermint versus that line. And here's kind of another thing that, look, if she's on medicine and she has to take it every 6 hours, and that 6 hour lands in school, can I take my medicine to the school and say, hey, look, at this time, come up here and take it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, they have kids that have to be catheterized, that have to have their blood sugar checked, all throughout the day. There are different kids that have different levels of care and need. And those nurses, I don't see how they do what they do, but this is something, it's just an added bonus. It's super convenient to be able to.
They are troopers.
Yes. I mean, we go to the pediatrician enough. We do that too. I always say.
Got your own parking spot down there?
We do. We should. We have our own room.
Yeah.
We pay rent, parking fee.
all the things.
All the things. But it's just an added layer of convenience and
Absolutely.
way to protect, not only your kid, but the kids that and staff that your kids are with, So
And they can identify the big three.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, Hadley, I've shared, she's a cheerleader. Last week was state competition. This weekend was So last week she developed a cough, and she went to the nurse. Nurse is like, probably caused by a virus. She's probably just working it out. And I'm like, she said lungs are clear. Her oxygen saturation was good, so that meant she was pulling enough oxygen into her lung.
And, well, she's also an athlete too. I'm sure that helps as well. But yeah, so they just said did they just keep her there? There's there's nothing much we can.
Yeah, they said
Cool.
she's got a virus, but she's clearing it on her own.
Okay.
She's fine to go back to class. She's fine to compete. So it was
Done and done.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I didn't feel like the horrible mother who was sending my kid
Well,
with the plague to school. So.
Yeah, well, I feel better that you told me earlier, because I'm like, oh my gosh, did I send my kid? I mean, who knows? It's tough, man. But it's great to have you all here, and heck, I'm sure, like you had said on other shows, someone has a question and anything like that, they can get in touch with you. Was it on Facebook?
Facebook is the best way. We
best way.
we respond to those pretty quickly.
Okay.
Because there's somebody that's basically always monitoring that.
That's good.
So whether it's a question about the vaccines that we offer, our harm reduction program, medication assisted therapy, which we have on Friday, hands program, anything, shoot us a message on Facebook. We are here. We're not here on Fridays because we work an extended day, and that's so that people can come by either before or after work.
Well, that's right. Yeah, you've mentioned that.
So that makes it more convenient.
I'm sure you can go to the website and find all this as well.
All the deets are at the website, on the Facebook page. But if you have any other questions, we always encourage people to reach out. And I feel like, people's needs are unique to them. We also do provide in-home vaccines for those that are not able to get here.
Okay. You'll go to them.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
A lot of good information. Good sewed.
Yeah. You never know what you're going to be hearing about.
That's right.
From the health department.
Well, we're reaching the end here, Miss Cassie. Was there anything you want to add? Any saved rounds? Final thoughts?
Just reiterate, we're getting ready to head into the biggest holiday season.
Yes.
And so just making sure you wash your hands.
Wash your hands, dude.
20 seconds. The temperature of the water really doesn't matter. Because if it was hot,
I like it scalding.
I know. It's a mind thing.
I know.
With me.
I think of that movie, As Good as It Gets. Have you seen that movie with Jack Nicholson?
Yes.
He was so hot. And
So
he just
hot.
And he would like wash his hands like, yeah, man, that's maybe that has hit me somehow. I don't know.
Yes. Well, if the water was hot enough to kill the germs,
It would burn
your skin.
Okay, all right.
So,
okay.
But that's funny that I was an environmentalist and did inspections for almost 10 years before coming to this health department. But that was one thing we had to do, was measure the temperature of the water
Right.
at the faucet level. We wanted to make sure none of the kids would get their little hands burned. Always make sure the faucets are working, because when schools are opened up, they set the population of the school, and that's how you determine how many like water bottle stations now. It used to be water fountains.
That's really strange. I don't mean to change the subject, but I was not expecting that walking in, a year or so ago and seeing
those.
Why are the water fountains? But it's a great idea.
Yes.
It is fantastic.
It is great. That's what we've turned to, and honestly, water fountains are a very easy way for germs
sure.
to be spread.
For sure.
Because I don't know that many kids would stay back away from the mouthpiece
No,
far
see,
enough.
I was just gonna say. So many times I've seen kids
Yes,
whole mouth,
right down there,
whole mouth.
right in it, right in it. And yeah, so actually that was an automatic deduction if you had to make sure that the water arced above the mouthpiece.
Oh yeah, because sometimes it just trickles out a little bit.
Yes,
That's the worst.
So that was an automatic, and so you had to chart where each of those water fountains were, and then they would. Usually, it was just
A little tweak.
yes, something. It was an easy fix, but yeah, just some of the ways that we in the community physically through our environmental program are also ensuring health and safety.
Yeah, washing hands, man. I'll not only sometimes I'll wash my hands, but then I'll also do hand sanitizer.
Yes,
Like back to back. Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like doubling up
That's a
on
double up.
protection.
That's
so, I mean, I can't argue with that.
Cool.
I got to
All
promote
right.
that.
Cool. Good. Doing something right.
Yes.
Well, Miss Cassie, thank you so much. This has been very educational. We've talked about where you can find, ask questions, all the information. Anything else?
I think that's it. I just appreciate you having us on again, being
This has
part of
been
your
great.
network.
Yes.
And
We're happy to have you. And
getting
it's
this information out.
brought to you by, the Chamber, Woodford County Chamber, and Woodford Tourism Commission. They've been awesome. We've been really blessed to be able to do this and get information out there like this. So yeah, thank you, Miss Cassie, for doing this.
Yes, yes.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.